Hi, I'm Jilly G. Welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make my gluten-free ginger snap cookies. Really minimal ingredients, as you can see, but I've got everything here room temperature ready to go. So first up we'll do the dry ingredients, and in this bowl I have 2.5 cups of my gluten-free flour. And you might wonder why you never see me measure out the flour. It's because I keep the large container in the fridge. I just take out what I need and let this come to room temperature instead of the whole jar. So this is ready to go. So in here I have 2 teaspoons of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of ground ginger, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, a half a teaspoon of ground cloves, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. All in here, and just mix this together. Just set this aside. I have 3/4 cup, which is 1.5 sticks of butter. It's really soft, almost to the melting point. And to this, we're gonna add our other 3 ingredients. So I have 1 cup of coconut sugar. If you use brown sugar, just make sure it's packed in there. So 1 cup of coconut sugar. And I'm just gonna mix this around just till it's mostly combined. Get all that butter out of the whisk. You could do this in a stand mixer, but this works pretty good. So once we've got all of that butter and brown sugar mixed together, I have 1/4 cup of molasses and 2 eggs. And we'll put in the molasses first and our 2 eggs, and I'll just use this little bowl to crack them into. And we don't need to worry about one at a time without the shells. All in there. And just start mixing this together. And once you've got that all mixed together, I'm going to start adding the flour a little bit at a time and just start mixing it, and then I'll probably switch to the spatula, but a little bit at a time. That's probably about half of the flour. Switch to our spatula and scrape down the bowl. And the rest of our flour. And just mix this till it's all combined. Make sure you get everything that might be hanging out on the bottom. And if you use my flour mix and you notice there seems to be little chunks in there, that's usually the almond flour. Even though it is pretty fine, it does have little chunks in there, which I don't mind. And if you're worried about coconut sugar tasting like coconut, I don't really notice that big of a difference, that it has that much of a coconut flavor. But I also have coconut flour in here too, which has a pretty mild coconutty flavor, which I also don't mind. So now that we've got this all mixed together, I'm going to use a knife to scrape off my spatula, even though it doesn't really matter. And I have some plastic wrap here. Just going to wrap the spatula up in there too. So wrap this up, stick this in the fridge for about an hour. If it's a really hot day, maybe 2 hours, but we want this to be firm enough so we can roll it into little cookie balls. So in the fridge for an hour, and we'll pick you back up then. My dough has been chilling for about an hour or so, and it is a little firmer. If you notice that it's too soft, let it go a little bit longer. You could even do this overnight. And so what we're gonna do is, I've got a little cookie scoop here. It's about 1 inch or so. And I've got some other coconut sugar just for dipping the top in. You could do white sugar if you didn't want to use the coconut sugar. So this is ready. And I've got 2 cookie sheets lined with parchment paper, and my cooling racks are ready. And my oven is preheating to 375. So what we're gonna do is just get a little bit of a scoop here. It's already in a little bit of a ball shape. Just the top, dip in the coconut sugar. And these will spread a little bit, so give them a little bit of room. Just dip the top in here. If you don't have a cookie scoop, you can just use 2 spoons and then roll these into a ball with your hands, but this is good enough. And I'm just kind of making the ends a little more uniform. They get a little raggedy with the cookie scoop. So first pan is done. Move this aside and bring over our other one. I'm gonna put 2 in the oven at the same time. And my oven is preheated to 375. You could roll the whole cookie in the sugar if you want to, but the top is good. And if you wanted to, you could make the shapes like this and then just stick this whole thing in the freezer and freeze it like that, and then put them in a Ziploc bag or a plastic container or something and freeze those, and then they're ready to bake whenever you want. Last one, I'm gonna wash up. So these will go into the oven for about 8 to 10 minutes, again at 375. And if you have extra cookie sheets, you can keep going, or just put this back in the fridge till those are out. I have extra cookie sheets. So 2 more pans just went in the oven. Always set your timer. These went for about 10 or 11 minutes. They look pretty good. If you like a crispier cookie, let them go a little bit longer, or a softer cookie go only 8 minutes or so. But we're gonna put these on our cooling rack. Move all these aside to make room for the rest of those. And then get your dough and just keep going till all of your dough is done, and I'll show you what they all look like when they're finished. My last pan of cookies has just come out of the oven. Teeny tiny one from the leftover dough. So let these cool off. Again, if you like a crisper cookie, you could go a little bit longer, but this is really good. Let's move this out of the way here. I'm gonna try one of these cooler ones. They look really good. They're really good. So these are a little bit crispy on the top. Part of it's from the coconut sugar. You'll notice it kind of dissolved in there. You can still see it on some of the cookies. If you'd use white sugar, you'd be able to see it more, but it's there. These freeze really well. You can, as soon as they're cool, you can just stack them and put them in a freezer bag or a container and keep them in the fridge like other gluten-free things. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, let me know, and we'll see you on the next one.